Welcome to the Disney Hour Express podcast. I'm Abby.
And I'm Rob. We are two hopelessly romantic Disney enthusiasts,
Sharing fun stories, secret tips, and family travel experiences.
If you are a Disney newbie, or maybe a season pass holder, we hope you find this information helpful.
We turned our love of Disney into a unique boutique travel agency that books Disney and Universal vacations.
We've got a lot of stories, so cozy on up, choose your favorite drink,
Whether that be a cocktail or a hot chocolate,
and enjoy the Disney Hour Express.
Hey, Pioneers, welcome to episode 87 of the Disney Hour Express. It is a late afternoon, early evening of Sunday. We've had a super busy weekend, and I hope yours was wonderful as well.
I haven't been too busy. I haven't really done anything all weekend.
Nothing at all. You did take a nap during the football game this afternoon, though.
I tried to.
It was cute.
And Lando's biting on a pickle.
That's true. Well, Molly has her alligator, so they're both here in the studio with us. So excuse us.
Gators, like they have in Louisiana?
Named Louis? Yeah. Named Louis, like from The Princess and the Frog, which is what we're going to talk about today, right? We're going to talk about The Princess and the Frog, mostly because I was having a moment where I was like, we need to have gumbo. We haven't had gumbo yet this year.
She's never made gumbo for me.
I know I haven't. So it's not quite yet National Gumbo Day, okay? But we are preparing you because National Gumbo Day is on October 12th. But I'm thinking with the football season in full gear, we are going to all the games and we are there cheering along. It's well underway and the crisp morning air, although then it ends up to be like 80 degrees by like 1 p.m. But we're getting in the mood. We're getting in the mood.
If October 12th is Gumbo Day, is October 13th Jumbo Gumbo Day?
It's enjoy your leftover gumbo day. That's what it is.
Okay.
But with that all being said, this reminds me of our favorite character,
Gumbo?
Tiana.
Oh.
That's right.
Yeah, she makes a mean gumbo.
She makes a mean gumbo. Now, like we've said in the past, she makes a red sauce gumbo. The gumbo we're making tonight is a white sauce gumbo, so it's a little bit different. But one of my favorite...
It's the Cooking Hour Express.
Things. I know, we have changed gears a little bit. One of my favorite things about The Princess and the Frog is Mama Odie's gumbo cauldron, we're gonna call it, right? Because it's not like a pot, it's like the big cauldron, and it's Mama Odie's gumbo cauldron. And when she's seeking answers, Mama Odie uses her wand to stir the gumbo while chanting, and the gumbo would then conjure a vision either made from the light of the wand or an actual live vision of a person and location. So,
which is interesting, right? It's because obviously it's a play on the witches boiling pot or whatever,
like making a potion,
also a cauldron, yes,
conjuring things.
But this is Mama Odie
doing bad things. No, Mama Odie doesn't really do bad things per se. She's like a very good, wise old woman, which I really like about her. Like she's crazy, but she's very maternal and loving. She reminds me a lot of Moana's grandmother, who like just kind of like dances like in her weird hippie style, like, and has the same feel for sure. So all this being said, I want to take a journey with you on Tiana's Bayou adventure. Like we've never done before, because I know that we've talked about it a whole lot.
Yes, we've kind of followed the progress along while it was being made and the renovation started and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so if you don't know by now, let's just give you a little recap that Tiana's Bayou adventure was inspired by Disney character Tiana from The Princess and the Frog. This was originally a Brothers Grimm classic and reimagined into like 1920s New Orleans, which what a crazy, interesting time to make a children's story movie about. They didn't, talk about anything in the 1920s. That's just kind of like the scenery and the back set. But if you really were to think about it, like, there were so many challenges going against Tiana at this time.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So not only was this a city, I mean, we'll just talk about it broadly because we don't need to get too political here, but the city was known to be a major alcohol distribution center, and almost everyone had their hands in that kind of business, and then became outlawed. I think the laws went into place in 1920, but they were passed in, was it 1919? I don't know. We could go back in time and kind of like figure all that out.
This is now the History Hour Express.
But I mean, they couldn't just like consume it all, right? So they had to illegally sell it and illegally market it and all sorts of things. And even down to the police officers had their hands, or police enforcement, I should say, had their hands in this business.
And now, I've never seen the movie, but this is what The Princess and the Frog is all about, right?
Nope, but this is going on in the background. So it's so interesting to think about the background. And then you think, okay, Princess Tiana is also a woman of color. She is the first African-American princess depicted in any Disney film. So I love that. I love that it is in this era of time. It is showing her as a hard-working waitress who not only lost their father, which I would assume is the main source of income at this time, because women of color could only like work in houses, or I mean, they couldn't only work in houses, but they didn't have a lot of work opportunities. So she's working very hard as a waitress, saving her pennies every single day, and she has this dream. She's a marvelous cook, and she has this dream to open her own restaurant. So that's kind of like the little beginning of this movie, and then the dream of opening this restaurant and how hard she's working. It kind of tells the tale over a few days, right? Of like the craziness. So the new attraction, Tiana's Bayou, replaced the iconic Splash Mountain in both Disney World and Disneyland. Yes. I'm not sure if we've mentioned that before, but both places. But what's interesting, the most interesting part is Tiana is a princess by marriage. She's just a princess by marriage, right? She wasn't born as a princess, but she marries Prince Naveen. And that is what makes her a princess, right? So that's kind of like the first, I don't know. Was everybody else born as a princess in all of the movies? That's a great question. I think that they mostly were. Yep.
Right,
I think that they mostly were.
Cinderella? Snow White?
Oh, no. Okay, you're right. So Cinderella was married and became a princess. Very good. Nicely done.
I know what princess is. I mean, Ariel was a princess.
She was a princess. Yep. Snow White, I believe, was.
Yeah, right.
Was she a princess?
Yeah, because the evil queen was her stepmom, right?
Yep. You're right.
Okay.
Right. So anyways, successful entrepreneur.
The Princess Hour Express.
She's trying to show you that through this ride, you're showing the young guests that dreams do come true through hard work, perseverance, and a bit of magic. And Disney really grabbed onto Walt's love of New Orleans. He loved New Orleans, and aimed to celebrate the vibrant culture and rich musical heritage. Sorry.
Walt was big into the prohibition. Yeah. He was selling bootleg bathtub gin on Main Street in Disneyland.
Though, okay, no, he wasn't. But it does make me wonder a lot about Walt's childhood. Like, what made his drive to make family-friendly atmospheres that did not serve alcohol, right? Because he did not want alcohol in his parks.
Yeah.
Like, what in his childhood made his drive to that? Was it a great childhood, or was it a bad childhood where he wanted to change the future and promote family bonding.
Interesting.
That I don't know. I know a lot about his, business and where the Disney company started, but as far as his childhood stuff, I don't know a whole lot about that.
Sounds like we'll have to watch a Walt Disney documentary on Disney Plus.
So anyways, the ride is designed to be authentic representation of a bayou and of New Orleans culture. Now, just speaking from the ride perspective, going on the ride, your experience starts in that queue. And I know that the queue is not something you got to stand in when we went, because we just went through our, what did we have? That it was a lightning lane or...
Well, yes. It was a Genie Plus.
Genie Plus lightning. Okay.
Yeah. It was a virtual queue.
It was a virtual queue.
Yeah.
We did not wait though.
But then it went because it started raining, so then we got a free lightning lane.
That's right. So we went through the fast queue, and when you do this it's wonderful because you get on the ride right pretty quickly. Yeah. Now, but you miss a lot of very pretty aspects and being immersed into the ride, right?
I did take a video of as we were going through the queue, and it has a lot of like recipes and all these things on the wall, but because there was like all this space in front of us, so I was taking my time, I was causing a pile up, so I couldn't really take a nice, like I wanted to take like a longer video, like show take pictures and video and everything, and like everyone was rushing like
You're
ahead
such
of me.
An influencer, Rob.
Well, that's me.
No, I get it. And
but yeah, it starts in the queue.
There's a lot of eye candy is what I would say about this. Like little parts where you're going to see Tiana's kitchen, but it's the kitchen from her like childhood that she like starts to cook in the gumbo and has all the certain recipes out. And you're going to see, different parts of just like small little parts. Yes, the recipes are hanging on the walls and you're gonna have certain smells come through, and it's very cool. It is interesting though, because I don't know that you'd really understand that maybe this whole area now, instead of like I thought in Splash Mountain, like you got it right, you're kind of like in this mine area, kind of going down this you're in the backwoods in a cave in the country, and like something wild's gonna happen. Now going through the cave like scenarios, and like it still has those, I don't know if you've ever experienced this where in Splash Mountain where you're like waiting in line and all of a sudden it just starts dripping on your head and you're like, oh, gross. You're like, I don't know what's that. Where is that water coming from? Right?
What does this have to do with The Princess and the Frog?
Yeah. Exactly. So like in my mind, I think like, oh my gosh, okay, they're repurposing like an old sugar mill as they did back in the day. And as they were doing in the movie, right? It was either a sugar mill or a salt mill, something to become Tiana's Palace, which is the restaurant. So in my mind, that's what I've kind of created, but I really can't back that up with any fact. I do not know, but to me, it makes sense. I've stayed in a lot of old sugar mills. They've turned a lot of old sugar mills in New Orleans into condos, which are like so beautiful and so cool to look at. And we stayed in an old sugar mill, the Marriott we stayed in, I believe, was an old sugar mill. It had, when you walked into the lobby, you really saw the open brickwork and everything and the high ceilings. It was really beautiful. It doesn't ring a bell for you. You don't remember? We? I'll have to show you a picture.
Was I there?
You sure were.
That was me.
Yes, you were. Right. In any case, yes. It's really nice to go through that queue. Now, the only bummer about this queue that I was there on during the Halloween party, there is no moving air. Not even a little bit of moving air. It was so hard to like deal.
It was stuck in like a long line.
It wasn't too long. It was like it moved quickly, but yeah.
And you were there at night too.
Yep. The sun had just set. So anyways, once you're on the ride, so the attraction brings you through. Now I know that we've mentioned this before, that we're like, oh, but this isn't like Princess Tiana. This is working Tiana. She's in her working outfit. And so it's a little bit different. Like it starts with, crates of food and products and the gardens and everything that you're going through. Now it's not like living in the land. It's like more of like a funky kind of fun boat ride that you're taking, right? You're dancing, you're singing. You're not going to do that on living in the land.
I mean, I don't know. I usually get down somewhere around when they start showing the squashes that are...
Side note to living with the land, now that we're talking about that. Did you know that there actually used to be a live person on Living with the Land up until about 2006, I think?
It was like the boat?
Yeah, in the boat. A live person that used to give you these spiels and talk about the products that were being grown.
Now there's just a zombie.
It's live. Just a recording. Anyways. The attraction, it features the original soundtrack. And if you want to see that, there's a really great YouTube channel. What is it called? Imagineers.
Yes. Imagineering
or something like that. I am so sorry, I don't have the name, but they did a whole background on Tiana's Bayou, and they have the person who wrote the song for this. It was really cool. So anyways, they have an original soundtrack, and it blends jazz, zydeco, gospel to create the atmosphere that's both festive and magical, and it definitely gets stuck in your head.
I was trying to play it for you while you were cooking tonight, but you kept turning it to...
Oh, you did?
Yes. You kept turning it back.
Well, thank you.
So almost there. You were playing almost there.
This entire conversation was inspired because I have gumbo on the stove that is currently cooking.
Yes.
Yes.
I concur.
Exactly. But I just wanted to take you through a little bit of the history because we love, there are extremes to this ride. You either extremely love it or you extremely wish Splash Mountain was back.
Which I just don't understand. I don't understand why people don't like it. Like what?
I think
why is it
maybe
any
they
difference?
Didn't watch the movie because they don't
no one watched
connected.
Song of the South.
That's true.
I've never seen it.
I have not either.
Our kids have never have, won't see it, and yeah. So I don't know.
And the ride is exactly the same.
Well, it's a little bit different. We could call Heidi up here.
She could be like, well, there's a little bump here.
Yeah, there's a little bump there. And then I thought they weren't going to, she will just randomly start telling us that, well, in Tiana's Bayou, I didn't think they were going to change the track, the ride track, but they did change it a little bit. And she'll tell us all about it. But anyway, so I don't get entirely. One person that we follow on Instagram, it all started with a mouse, and she has a number at the end of her thing. I know she had a reaction video, and at the time I think one of the big complaints was that throughout the ride it does tell a story, right?
Yes.
Right. It does bring you on a story, and you go through something where you become a frog. You
do. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really get that the first time around because I was like focusing on kids and their enjoyment and their first time going on this big drop and stuff.
Okay.
But the second time around, I got that. So you really have to pay attention. And if you don't know what you're getting into, you're not going to know,
One of the complaints was that there's no villain. Like, why is insert villain name?
Prince Naveen, and why is his name not coming to me?
Exactly. It's Jafar.
No, it's not.
Uncle Harold.
Dr. Facilier.
Dr. Facilier.
Yes.
Yeah. Why doesn't he show up? And why isn't he the purpose of you shrinking into becoming a frog?
Maybe because they didn't want it to be scary.
But it's like the other rides.
We're raising our kids very differently.
I think they want the theming to be like they should show the adversity where you feel like you've overcome the villain as you're leaving the ride.
Yeah.
As opposed to just, I don't remember. I couldn't tell you the purpose, everything that happens. And I remember Shrinking. I remember they have the, where they're showing Louis and Tiana are like talking to you and you're small and, but they look really big. And then Mama Odie's there. And then there's a jazz band at the end. That's the somewhat spoiler-free version. But yeah,
that part at the end where like we had suddenly this beautiful New Orleanian setting. I was like, oh, there's more? Oh, okay. Hello.
Abby did gasp at that part.
It is beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love what they did.
She gasped and then also just at the garden, at the beginning part of it. She was just
that's true.
Couldn't stand it.
I
know. But I think it's a good ride. So I don't understand all the criticism.
Yes, I think it's just people don't like change.
It's a ride. It has the same 40-foot drop that the other ride did.
Yes, it does. They didn't change like everything's the same. Yes. Anyways, it's hard for change. I know that we're all like holding our fists up about all the change that's going to come, both excited and nervous. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know.
We will see. We'll see. And that's, just the beginning. Now that still is on a virtual queue.
Yeah, it is still.
Is it right? They just switched Tron over to standby line in Lightning Lanes.
They did. And I heard that those lines were pretty long to start with, but then they started to peter out to be about in the 60-minute range, which we noticed that Peter Pan's flight was still longer than this.
Peter Pan.
But my one concern is that this line is just, it is hot. Like, I know I say that about most of the lines, and they have those industrial fans that don't seem to do anything.
Yeah,
so
that's upsetting for a new ride. Like they should have thought about.
They should have really thought about
we're
that.
In Florida. Maybe we want to make it cool. Pump a little cold air. Like I'm not saying full, central air, but pump a little cold air into that cave.
Think you want less patients winding up in the hospital. I'm just saying.
Maybe
you just want that.
So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to going on it again. I know you've been twice without me. So that kind of, and some of the news that I have kind of has to do with, Splash Mountain,
really?
New Orleans stuff. So the first thing is they just removed the last bit of the Song of the South from the Disney parks.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
There was a reference removed. It was in Walt Disney Presents at Disney's Hollywood Studios, which is something that most people don't go into. They just kind of go by, and it is like a timeline of Walt.
Okay.
And it just kind of shows the history of it. But there was a Song of the South reference like on the wall. It was like a picture of Song of the South, and they just finally removed it.
Wow. Well, did you know that when I went into the gift shop, they still had pins for Splash Mountain? They had pins and I think ornaments. And it was just a really little section. So I thought this stuff was sold out and gone, but they still had a little bit of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was surprised. But it was like the third day or something that shop was open. Like they had just opened when we went. I didn't go in the shop this past time, so I can't tell.
We went in the shop and it was bananas.
It was so cool. It was cool though. It was really crowded, but it was cool how it was inside the tree. I like that.
I like being in trees. It's one of my favorite things. One of my favorite places to be. The other kind of related, now this is more just New Orleans, and Port Orleans, French Quarter to be exact.
I gasped big time over this, and I would love to stay here. Anyways, go for it.
Wait, you gasped over?
Wait, what are you talking about?
Well, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the Scat Cats Club.
Oh no, I was talking
cafe closing for refurbishment.
I know. I wasn't talking about that.
Oh,
I was talking about the French Quarter revisions, I guess, whatever you call it. They redid a bunch of the rooms in section 1. What do you call that? Like the first, I don't know how many sections they have over there. I'm sorry. Either. So I'm just talking off the fly here. But in section 1, all of those French Quarter rooms are redone and they are gorgeous. They are so beautiful.
Now, have they okay, because we've stayed at Port Orleans Riverside, and
Yes.
we've both noted that it was, while it was the rooms are beautiful,
Yes.
it was very like it needed to be updated.
Yes.
Lando.
I don't think that they have plans right at this moment to redo those. They're going to redo all the French quarters. They're saying that they want to get them done by November, December.
But they're like replacing electrical stuff, or just like cosmetic
like
things?
cosmetic, but beautiful. Like the sliding, adding those sliding doors. The sliding doors look more Victorian. They're taking away, like, I'm sorry, babe, but those rooms that you stayed, I know you stayed over in the Riverside, but the rooms, like the whole like brown headboards.
What do you mean? We stayed there together. You didn't like those rooms?
No, we stayed in the Tiana suite room.
Well, yes. Oh.
Yeah. Those were beautiful. But the brown headboards, I don't know. Gross.
She just like gave me like attitude.
Anyways, because you're not remembering where we stayed. I mean, how can you not remember? But in any case, it's very like, I would say French Victorian kind of feel. They've put this beautiful like robin's egg kind of blue and gold theme going on throughout, and everything is definitely cosmetically touched up, and it looks gorgeous. I'm really excited about this because when I stayed over there before, I mean, I was feeling like Pop Century vibes, which you don't want to get when you're staying at a French Quarter, more mid-tier resort. You want to feel a little bit elevated.
But I have a question. Do they have USB ports?
I certainly hope so. I did not look into that.
That's really what I care about.
Anyways, you tell your news.
Well, this one is just the Scat Cats Club Cafe is being refurbished over in Port Orleans Riverside.
How long is that going to be closed for?
So they're saying it's going to close from September 23rd, and they're saying it's going to be closed to like the middle of October. So only a few weeks.
Okay, I wonder what they're going to do.
So it's not too bad. So now I'm slightly confused, I guess, because I've only been over there once. So there's the Scat Cats Club Lounge that I don't think I've ever been in.
Yeah, we haven't. No.
And then we got beignets from the cafe. Right, which is
super good.
So, which is when you go outside the Sasagula's eatery, right? That's their quick service. It's like the Sasagula's Float Works and Food Factory. That's their quick service, and then you kind of walk out there, and then the Scat Cats Club Cafe. You walk in, then you kind of eat. You get your stuff and then you bring it out. But then I guess there's a lounge where they actually have musical acts. They have jazz bands, but you could also get like the same sort of food as far as I can tell. But it looks like there's also a bar. Yeah. But so you could have like a drink and some beignets.
So cool. Listen,
that's still open. The cafe is closed. They're saying that if you want to get any of the food from the cafe, you have to go over to the Sasagula's. I guess they offer it over there.
Okay.
As well. So for a couple weeks. If you're heading over to Port Orleans, prepare to be moved into the quick service area.
I just wanted to tell you. So in those refurbished rooms, it says fold out reading lamps are by each bedside, and there's a small wall mounted table for guests on the far side of the bed. USB-A and USB-C ports are provided alongside each power socket.
Woohoo!
Okay, I have to go stir the gumbo. I'll be right back. You continue on, my friend.
So I'm going to keep talking, and I'm going to tell everyone all about Sony, the Sumatran tiger. She's pregnant. Can you believe that? A pregnant tiger in Animal Kingdom. So yeah, I guess this isn't the first time that she's been expecting. She gave birth to 2 tiger cubs. One of those cubs, Jeddah, was relocated to the San Antonio Zoo as part of the species survival plan back in 2019. But she's pregnant again. That's amazing. The Sumatran tigers are critically endangered. There's fewer than 600 of them remaining in the wild. So this is kind of a big deal, and that's all part of the conservation plan of Disney and Animal Kingdom. You can see Sony, it's Sohni, and her mate Conrad. They're in the Maharaja Jungle Trek in the Asia section of Disney's Animal Kingdom. That makes sense. So yeah, it's kind of like you'll see them as you're walking around. We can't wait to see a new baby tiger. It's going to be amazing. So now that Abby's back, let me ask her what she thinks about Sony.
The pregnant tiger?
The pregnant tiger. See,
oh
she
my
knew
gosh,
all about
but did
it.
you hear about the 3 new baby tamarin thingy madoogers? What are those? They're like little monkeys?
Sure.
Let's see. I think it's so crazy because didn't she just have a baby?
She in 2019.
In 2000.
So 5 years ago.
Well, that's not as.
She had 2 cubs back then, and one of them, as I was just telling the listeners, was moved over to. They took it over to San Diego.
Oh my god, that breaks my heart. But
well, they're trying to spread. It's an endangered species, so they're trying to spread the seeds.
I understand. Okay. All right. But did we talk anything about, okay, first of all, let's talk about these 3 tiny primates that were born at Animal Kingdom's Discovery Island on Saturday, and they're bonding with their parents and sibling. Well, that's really fun. So yeah, that's the endangered cotton top tamarin triplets that were just born. But also, what's going on with this whole manatee thing? Like they're getting rid of the dolphins and the manatees.
Oh, they got rid of the manatees?
But I think they're like replacing one with the other. I don't really understand.
Oh, well, be honest with you, I feel bad for every animal that's held in captivity. That dolphin seemed to be by itself, and from what we've learned from watching Dolphin Tale 1 and 2 is that dolphins are supposed to be paired up with another dolphin.
Yes. I know. We almost went to visit there, but I don't think we're going anymore because we'll see. Like that. But so let's see. It says as part of a larger effort to help manatees in Florida, Disney is moving Louis to the manatee and 3 dolphins from The Seas with Nemo and Friends at Epcot to new facilities in Florida.
Okay.
So he's going to a different rehabilitation center.
The manatee section just didn't look big enough for that giant swimming gal.
But a new manatee will join Little Joe. So they're bringing in a different manatee.
So they're getting rid of one and bringing in another one.
I wonder if
this has been
sick or they're saying that they're prioritizing the well-being of the manatee.
I tell you what, the listeners are on the edge of their seat. They love all the details that we're giving them right now. We're like,
well, I'm concerned for the manatees, but I mean, the dolphins going away makes me just think of that Boy Meets World episode, how they went to see the dolphins, and I'm like, you can no longer do that because then they're also eliminating the option to go swim with the dolphins and pet them. So that's kind of a bummer, but I get it because if you're going to Disney World to do the rides and stuff, you're not necessarily going to spend $300 extra per person to go pet some dolphins when you could go to Discovery Cove up the street and do the same thing for like, I don't know, $175. I'm just throwing out numbers, but I know it's significantly cheaper to do it there. So it's an interesting thing that they're doing.
So you're telling me Topanga met this dolphin?
Yes, I am.
Oh my god. I would pay anything to meet the dolphin that Topanga met.
That's funny. You were a Topanga fan. Got it. Good to know.
Now kind of going back over to our friends at Universal Studios, last week we talked about the Halloween Horror Nights. We kind of went over everything. We were talking about a lot of the food. There's a list of I read a list of like the best and worst foods there, just kind of saying maybe some things if you are going to Halloween Horror Nights, which is going strong. I know somebody that did all 10 houses in one night. They must have had wild. They must have had the express pass because there's no way to do them all. And 4
roller coasters.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy. But things you might want to check out. He said it's called the Shirley Black at Slaughter Cinema 2.
Okay. Nice. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's a pre-mixed drink, but it has like blueberry popping pearls.
Ooh.
And it's an alcoholic drink. They said the alcohol is masked, so like you don't really. Okay. So they said it was very tasty and.
All right.
Well, worth getting. There's the Cyclops Cup, which is over at Major Sweets Candy Factory. Okay. It's messy and a little bit hard to cut into, but they said it's worth the effort. The shell, it has like a shell. It's like dark chocolate, and the filling is like fluffy ice cream.
Right. I like that.
They also talked about the vegan walking taco, which you could also find at Slaughter Cinema too. So while you're getting your Pop and Pearl drink over there, your Shirley Black,
Yeah.
Shirley Temple, Shirley Black. The vegan walking taco. I said it to me. He said it looks gross, but it is really good. It has a really good flavor and taste and texture. They said the best. They ranked it number 1. The Slashed Siblings Sweet Sampler at the Triplets of Terror.
Ooh.
And it's a bubblegum mousse. They said the bubblegum mousse balloon. It looks like a little tiny balloon because the whole thing is supposed to be that it's like a themed birthday party for these crazy triplets. And it has like a balloon. It tastes like a bazooka bubblegum. I don't know. They said the texture is great. The funfetti cupcake is simple but well done. And the chocolate cheesecake cone is done well too.
Okay.
He says it's rich and with dark chocolate on the outside, a nice bite from the cheesecake.
All right, that sounds
so those
amazing.
are all things. Now, since we've made our way over to it, I read a rumor, and this is from our friends over at Walt Disney World News Today, WDWNT.com.
Okay.
They brought it up, and there's no real sources to this, but it was interesting. They're saying that Universal is considering breaking its contract with Marvel.
Why?
So the whole thing is that, as we know, when we've talked about this before, Marvel's Superhero Island was opened. It opened in 1999 with Islands of Adventure, and at the time, Marvel was like kind of, down. Like, it was just a comic book. There was no movies. There was nothing. No one knew what an Avenger was besides, comic book nerds. So they came up with these rides, right? They opened up, roller coasters and this whole land. It was called Superhero Island. And no one thought anything different of it. So their contract at the time gave Universal the rights to anything east of the Mississippi for theme park.
Right. Okay. I recall.
Right?
Yes.
So that's where it is. So that's why over in Disneyland, ton of Marvel and Avenger stuff. Disney World, there's not so much of anything. In 2009 is when, it was, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the date and I lost it. I don't want to give you the wrong one. Yeah, in 2009, Walt Disney World purchased Marvel, right? A big deal. Yeah. And that kind of changed everything. And they started putting out these movies. The Avengers came out in 2012. Made a big deal.
Yeah.
Huge money. But now what happened was that Universal was they were trying to figure out what they were going to do with this land. And ultimately what it comes down to is that they're actually now paying the rights. They're paying their money to their biggest competitor. So they're directly paying Disney for rights to this land.
Oh, no.
That now we've been to this land. For anyone that's been to Superhero Island, it's pretty lame.
Yeah.
It's not the best. They're talking about that if they don't have, there was something if they they'll give up the rights. I'm trying to replace the Marvel Superhero with no Marvel Universe within the park. So if they replaced Marvel Superhero Island and there's no Marvel Universe within the park, then that would avoid the contract and it would revert back to Disney. Would have everything.
Okay.
So, I mean, ultimately, it comes down to right. So they have this area that isn't well received, right? It's kind of old. The Spider-Man ride is there.
Yep.
And it's cool enough. It has the Incredible Hulk is a roller coaster that's, it's been around for a long time and it's popular and it is fun. I think it's a fun coaster.
Yeah.
They also have Dr. Doom's Free Fall.
Yep.
Which I've never been on. Just like one of those free fall things.
Yeah,
right?
like an up and down kind of thing. Yeah.
Those are the main 3 attractions. It has a superhero parade that is
oh my gosh,
so bad.
lame.
It's just like the it's like Captain America and like Wolverine showing up on quad cycles on four-wheelers.
Listen, this is wild because they're known for their parades. They do like a killer Mardi Gras and a killer Thanksgiving. What is that?
So they kind of just like drive around, and I think they stop and like they get off and say something and they get back on and drive away. Like it's
bad.
Pretty bad. So I think they're at a standstill, right? So either they're going to have to put money into this for something that's just in the theme parks, that they're not going to be attached to any of the movies, anything else going on.
Yep.
And so is it worth putting money into it?
Okay.
Now, over in Universal Japan, there's an amazing Spider-Man ride.
Yeah.
Just like the one that's here.
That is a lot of videos.
That is closing.
What?
Yeah, that is closing in Japan.
Why?
So what they are saying is that it's gonna be repurposed as a Pokemon ride instead, which is a big deal. There's a lot of Pokemon. Kids love Pokemon even now. It's like, it seems to us as adults Pokemon is past. But I guess kids, especially over in other lands besides America, love Pokemon.
I just know that we can't let our kids bring Pokemon cards to school.
See, kids are still playing Pokemon. So that's where it is. So I think it puts Universal in kind of this interesting predicament where it's like either they have to just do better or it's not worth it, because right now it's just, you look at it and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth going over there. Now, if it does revert to Disney, I mean, that's like a huge deal, because you could essentially open up another park of just Marvel stuff if they wanted to. And open up another Walt Disney World park.
Okay.
I mean, there's so much.
Yeah, of all that.
Yeah, there's so much IP to mine into that. So many rides and I mean, just the Avengers campus that they have over in Disneyland could come over here, and like that could be a big thing. Whether or not they're going to put it in Epcot, because they do have the Guardians of the Galaxy ride. Again, if people are asking why are they allowed to have that, it's because they weren't part of the known Avengers.
Okay.
At the time, they are part of the Avengers and different comic books and so on and so forth, but it was because they weren't part of the main Avengers. They weren't part of, it wasn't Spider-Man. It wasn't any of these other characters.
Yep,
and so they were able to put Guardians of the Galaxy in there.
Wow.
But there was also a thing, I guess back in, it was like 2012, there were 2 monorail wraps that had Avengers stuff on there, and Universal made them take it down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was kind of like where they drew the line. You cannot wrap your monorails with our stuff that we're paying for east of the Mississippi.
Oh my gosh, but that's a lot to kind of like wait and see what the outcome's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot, because I just feel like so many things would have to change at Universal altogether to not have that.
But to think, like, it's kind of weird, like, for not to have the Incredible Hulk, right?
Right.
To take down a roller coaster.
But
I guess
they'd retheme it into what though? Like the
Pokemon pedestal.
I can see like it could be more of like not even Pokemon, like but Super Mario Brothers. Like as you're going up the tunnel that brings you to like, because you're going straight up and it's like do 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 do. I can see you kind of having kind of a Super Mario Brother kind of theme thing going there.
Now the interesting part is that there's rumors that Pokemon is going to take over Springfield, and that's going to be replaced by Pokemon, make it all Pokemon.
I could see that. I can see that.
I can see that, and which is interesting because Disney also bought The Simpsons.
How long ago did they buy The Simpsons?
That I don't have a date, but it's recent. Because they made like a big deal where the Simpsons are all on Disney Plus now. You can watch all.
I don't know if that was a good investment.
5,000 seasons, but a lot of people still watching.
Parenting has changed so much that I feel like.
I don't know, but a lot of adults still watch The Simpsons.
Like it. Okay.
That's why it's the longest running show in history. So yeah, that's kind of our news around the world, around the parks.
Yeah, That's all we got for you
we're
today.
talking, that's our news through the Bayou.
It is. Well, we're going to go stir up some more gumbo, make some cornbread and rice, and have ourselves a really nice Sunday night meal. We were talking a lot about our Sundays and how it's full of family and friends, and we want to know what you guys do on your Sundays and how you enjoy it. But until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next time.
This has been a Family Travel Planner production.